All right, now we're going to sort of finish up lesson 114. We sort of combined 113 and 114, and we only did part of 114. Now we're going to finish 114, but I'm also going to have you do something a little bit different than what's in the textbook. So anyway, let's just jump in. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually learn to graph the slope-intercept form. We're going to take the information given in the equation and translate it to a line. So this one is already in y equals mx plus b form, but I always like to pull out my information. So b equals -2, m equals 1/2. And I sort of always write this out so I can not have to think too much when I need the information. So remember that the b is the, let me write this in a different color, b is the y-intercept, or where it crosses the y-axis. M is your rise over run. You always and forever graph your b, oh, I don't know what I was writing there. Always and forever graph your b first. Always, always, always plot your b first. B is where it crosses the y-axis, and this is -2. So there's my first point. B is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay? From that point, so from the B point, from right here, we are going to rise over run. If it is positive, we rise up. If it is negative, we run down, but we always, always, always run right. Okay, let me explain what that means. So from the B, we are going to rise 1, which puts us here. It's going up because it's positive. And then we are going to run 2, and we always run right. So 1, 2, and that becomes my second point. Okay? And we're going to do several of these. Once you get it, it's really pretty simple. So you're going to graph your B first. From your B, you're going to rise over run. And then, I'm terrible at this with this marker or pen, and then you simply connect your dots, and that's your line. It's weird. Let's do another one. Let's graph this one. The first thing we need to do is put it in y equals mx plus b form. It must be in this form to pull the information out needed to graph it. So I'm going to move this over. And if this looks familiar, this is the one we did in our last lesson. -3x. Oh, I don't need to move that -1 over. It's already there. Silly me. Okay. I moved my 3x over. It became -3x. And now I'm going to just pull my information out that I need. Y equals mx plus b. So I can look at this, and I can see that b equals -1. And m equals -3. But remember, my m must be in a fraction. It's rise over run. So what am I always going to graph first? I'm always going to graph my b first. And in this case, b is -1. So there's my first point, -1. Remember, b is where it crosses the y-axis. From the b, we're going to rise over run. Make sure you do this from the B, not the middle point. A lot of people want to start here and rise over run. You must start from your B. Now in this case, my rise is -3. So I'm going to have to go down. I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to have to go down 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to run 1, and we always run right. So run 1. I'm going to rise negative, so down 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to run 1, and that is my next point. And now we just connect that, and hopefully I can connect it in a decent way with my, well, you understand what it should look like. It should cross those points. Let me try it again. Let me see if I can do better. I'm really, really bad with this pen. Let's see. Oh, good night, Minerva. Hold on. One more time. Let me go up. Well, that's going to be this. That's as good as it's going to get. All right? So the math of this is not hard. It's just a little bit weird. Step 1, put it into y equals mx plus b form. Step 2, pull out your b, pull out your m. Apply your b. Always do your b first. Then rise over run from your b. Let's do another one. Step 1 on this one is to put into y equals mx plus b form. Move over, move over. And this is off of lesson 114. I think it's the last one on that classwork. Plus 4. Now I've got to get rid of my 2 because I have multiple terms here. I have to divide everything by that. So I'm going to end up with negative 3 over 2x plus 4 over 2. Now 4 over 2 simplifies to 2. So my y equals mx plus b. So b is positive 2, where it crosses the y-axis. Always do your b first. From your b, we're going to rise over run. We're going to rise negative 3, so we're going to go down 1, 2, 3. Don't forget that this line is a point. So don't forget to count that. A lot of kids forget that's a point. So my 3 goes, I'll show you again, from the b, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to run. I always run right. I went down because it was negative, but I always run right. But in this case, I'm going to run 2. 1, 2, and there is my second point. Oh, when I erase that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. There's my second point. I just connect to make my line. So put it in y equals mx plus b form. Find your b, then find your m. That's why I wanted to make sure you were getting these right yesterday, because if you can put it in y equals mx plus b form, then you've got your b, you've got your m, and all you have to do is plot them. So let's just do one more just to be on the safe side. All right, one more just to say we did it. Move the x and the 3 over because our first step is to put it in y equals mx plus b form. My understood plus 1 is going to become minus. My plus 3 is going to become minus. Now I need to divide by the negative 2. Now I need to simplify. 2 negatives makes a positive. That's why I think I maybe lied to you before, that you may not have whole numbers. So negative 1 over negative 2 is a positive 1/2. Negative 3 over negative 2 is positive 3 over 2. Now, I despise this because what does that even mean? Well, 3 over 2 is 1/2. So we're going to estimate, all right? Because this is y equals mx plus b. So my b is 1/2, positive 1/2. From there, we're going to rise 1. We're going to run 2. So let me do this in a different color. I think that works better. Rise, well, not do a different color because I didn't click it. 1, which is going to be about hidden here in the middle. And then we're going to run. So we have my rise over run. 1, 2. So my point will be there. So you're going to rise 1, run 2. We went up because it's positive. And we always and forever run right. So then there's my line. And I'm looking at your homework. And I don't think you might have one fraction for your B on your homework. But I think all but one of them. And I just don't have the answers. I'm just looking at the problems, but I think most of them will be whole numbers. If you end up with a fraction like 1/2, just sort of estimate, just get it as close as you can, okay? So your homework is going to be to graph number 2 on page 351 and do number 3 on page 2. That's a 5. Oh, good gracious. On page 252. Now, on number 3, you are given your M and you are given your B. So you don't even have to manipulate anything on number 3, okay? So your homework is going to be to graph the number 2. Our last lesson, you did that. You put those in y equals mx plus b. You found your M. You found your B. So now you're just going to graph it, and then you're going to graph number 3 on page 252. But you only need to graph these. It wants you to write the equation of the line, just graph them. So graph number 2 and 3, page 251, 252.